Good morning. You're tuned in to the morning show of yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. And I'm hoping that you're having a wonderful day. This week is going by pretty quick. We're at Wednesday already, and we've had very muted markets, very quiet trading, to which we would have thought we would have had a little bit more volatility in this. But we're going to do what we do. So if you start at the overnight markets, you got the US dollar index this morning up 9 pips at 104.38. It's managing to hold that 104 area. The euro is at 108.53, down 17 pips. Pound sterling down 11 pips at 126.21. And the Aussie is down 11 pips at 65.37. Bitcoin futures up $755 this morning at $70,195. And Ethereum is up $24.50 at $35.8450. Crude oil futures down 59 cents per barrel, trading at $81.02 a barrel at this moment. We have nat gas down 6 cents at $1.72. We have gold futures up $13.70 this morning, trading at $2,212.90 per ounce. Silver futures up 8 cents at $24.71 per ounce this morning. Again, very narrow, tight trading ranges. Copper down a penny at $3.99, breaking that $4 handle. We have Dow futures up 280 points at 39,964. Then we have the E-mini S&P 500 up 25 points at 52.90 and a quarter. E-mini NASDAQ 100 is up 40 and 3/4 points at 18,487 and 3/4. And we have the Russell My Hustle up 17.4 points at 2110.20. So very quiet here across the board. Interesting one would probably, if I had to point out the most interesting, I would say the Russell has a bullish 2-bar Charlie set up. So we expect an all-day up day for the market to finish in the green. And then on your Nat Gas has a bearish 2-bar Charlie set up this morning. So we expect the market to close down and remain down for the remainder of the day. Other than that, that's about it. It's just not a lot happening on the price action side. It's as if everyone has decided to take the entire week off. It's just kind of a weird thing. This normally does not happen. So BlackRock's Larry Fink tries to solve America's retirement woes. Tech companies aren't being entirely truthful about the impact of AI. And the Baltimore port closure could cost $15 million per day in lost economic activity. Did I not tell you that was their go-to? That they were going to blame whatever bad thing happens in the economy, which was going to happen anyway. They're going to blame it on the Baltimore Harbor incident. That's the scapegoat. But then we have the issue between cash and credit. Of course, it's an age-old question for shoppers, cash or credit. But a new agreement between payment giants and merchants could upend the equation. Visa and MasterCard came to a settlement with U.S. merchants over the fees they charge when handling their credit card transactions. The settlement, which still needs to be approved, would lower and capped swipe fees for the next 2 years. Few years, ultimately leading to almost $30 billion in savings, according to the merchants' lawyers. The agreement about these behind-the-scenes fees could also eventually impact consumers. Under the settlement, merchants could charge customers more for using different cards despite being part of the same Visa or MasterCard network. The last point is particularly important since cards with the highest swipe fees often offer the best cashback rewards and benefits. That means using your go-to credit card for racking up points might cost you an extra. The agreement could ultimately reshape how consumers pay for things. David Morris, the principal analyst for payments at eMarketer, called the settlement's potential impact enormous since it gives merchants more flexibility in handling different payment methods. Another source in the payment space said it will give momentum to the adoption of open banking, the concept of banks having to share customer data with each other that's already popular in Europe. So you already have insurance companies that do that, and now banks are going to start sharing customer data. Where things land will be interesting, though. Merchants still want to make payment process seamless for their customers, lest they risk losing them to a competitor. Perhaps that's why one analyst, Alex Bitter, stated that he doesn't expect major retailers to pass swipe fees along to customers. Instead, they'll just absorb the cost via other channels like labor. That might be possible for a giant chain, but that's a difficult proposition for smaller businesses, which often already charge more for credit card transactions. One investor in the space mentioned that smaller merchants could form buying groups to increase their negotiating power. In the meantime, some merchants are already voicing their displeasure. The settlement, which took nearly 2 decades to reach, amounts to pennies on the dollar. But maybe, not unlike the fees, the agreement targets what seems small could eventually add up to something big. They always find more ways to squeeze more money out of the little guy. BlackRock's Larry Fink wants to fix the U.S. retirement crisis. The CEO of the world's largest money manager outlined steps the country could take in his annual letter to investors. His advice includes automating investing for workers and helping retirees spend their savings more easily. Yeah, it sounds good on paper, but we know the devil's in the details. Jeremy Grantham is worried about the market. The investing legend warned bull markets that start when the economy is booming end badly. He also bashed Bitcoin and shrugged off de-dollarization fears. Yeah, very interesting, right? And people are still holding out that the U.S. job market will weaken, and that's set to start in the second quarter, and that'll set the stage for the Fed to cut interest rates 5 times the remainder of the year. That's what you call wishful thinking. We've entered the age of AI BS. Maybe AI will steal our jobs. Maybe it'll kill us all. Perhaps it's all just hype. While it's not super clear what the future of artificial intelligence holds, one thing is everyone is lying about it right now. Meta spied on rivals. Newly unsealed emails show that Mark Zuckerberg told Facebook executives to figure out how to track encrypted messages on rival apps like Snap, YouTube, and Amazon. The program went on for at least 3 years. Why am I not surprised? More layoffs at Amazon. The tech giant is making more job cuts in its advertising unit. According to an internal email, the layoffs are part of a longer-term cost-cutting effort that Amazon kicked off back in 2022. Don't wait to buy a home. Prospective home buyers are holding out hope that mortgage rates will fall again. But that's a big mistake because they're not going to. Borrowing rates falling might not make home buying easier. In fact, another spike in demand could ultimately make it even worse. TikTok job anxiety. TikTok employees are worried about the company's recent adjustment to its annual review process. The change is meant to better differentiate between high and low performers, but some staffers fear the harsher reviews and smaller bonuses will drive more employees to leave. You think? And of course, the Baltimore Bridge disaster will hurt the U.S. economy. I was the first one to point that out, that was going to be the key talking point and takeaway. The Port of Baltimore has been closed until further notice after the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed on Tuesday. And according to some experts, the disruption will bring $15 million worth of daily economic activity to a halt. Microsoft's reshuffle continues as Bing chief plans to exit the role. It comes days after Satya Nadella poached Mustafa. Why investors aren't betting against Trump's Twitter clone yet? Apple's iPhone China shipments in February look even worse than estimated. And you're going to need a Peacock subscription to watch another NFL game this fall. It's all about the apps. And in other news, we have Hunter Biden is set to attend a court hearing to discuss the tax evasion charges he's facing. And it's World Theater Day. So, yeah, things are getting really interesting here because our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go out to all the individuals and their families' lives that were lost in yesterday's bridge disaster. It is a travesty of mammoth proportions. It also put a spotlight on Americans' crumbling infrastructure. They've been talking about the crumbling infrastructure since the early 2000s, and nothing has been done about it at all. Instead, they send billions and billions and tens of billions of dollars overseas to foreign countries and to expand the military-industrial complex. But they're not taking care of business at home. So it is a travesty. And according to Bloomberg, it appears that the Port of Baltimore will be out of commission indefinitely. That's right. The Port of Baltimore, the biggest handler of U.S. imports and exports of cars and light trucks, looks to be out of commission indefinitely. The resulting bottleneck could accelerate a shift of goods through West Coast ports. Another crucial question: which other ports have spare capacity to handle these ro-ro vessels that carry automobiles if Baltimore is closed for an extended period? This is a really big deal because over 750,000 vehicles came through that port last year alone. That's right, you heard it right. The port is the busiest in the U.S. for car shipments, handling more than 750,000 vehicles in 2023, according to data from the Maryland Port Administration. It also is the largest U.S. port by volume for handling farm and construction machinery as well as agricultural products. Now, as you know, that's why I say, there's no such thing as a coincidence. The agricultural industry has been under attack since the beginning of the lockdowns. All of the food manufacturing facilities, all the explosions, and they've been very targeted towards meat packing facilities and meat processing facilities. Now you're going to destroy the infrastructure that imports and exports these products. So further crippling the supply chain, or should we say decimating it. In addition, a whole host of prominent retailers are very dependent on the Port of Baltimore. Retailers like Home Depot, Bob's Furniture, IKEA, and Amazon are just some of the companies that use the port to import goods. Other top imports include sugar and gypsum. Speaking of softs, commodity softs, we talked about cocoa yesterday, trading over $10,000 a ton. Highest ever, 1,000% increase since 1999 alone. More than 1,000%. If that's not hyperinflation, I have no idea what hyperinflation is. This will have an impact for trade all along the East Coast, and it will continue until we know how quickly the port can reopen. According to Richard Mead, editor-in-chief of the shipping journal Lloyd's List. Now, vessels were already being diverted to New York and down to Virginia on Tuesday, according to Mead. There will be dozens of diversions in the next week and hundreds in the coming months, as long as Baltimore is shut down. This isn't the end of the world, and shipments can certainly be diverted to other ports, but We're talking about the 11th largest port in the entire nation. And so this will definitely be a serious blow. More than 52 million tons of foreign cargo worth some $80 billion were transported out of the port last year, according to Maryland Governor Wes Moore. The 11th largest port in the nation, Baltimore served an average of 207 calls a month last year, according to the shipping journal Lloyd's List. Now, in addition, it's going to take a very long time for the Francis Scott Key Bridge to be rebuilt. As Lara Logan has pointed out, that section of I 695 was the second busiest strategic roadway in the nation for hazardous material. So now you got hazmat coming in. Second busiest strategic roadway in the nation for hazmat, now down for the next 4 to 5 years, which is how long they say it will take to recover. Did you get that? 4 to 5 years. The bridge was built specifically to move hazardous material. It was built for that, such as fuel, diesel, propane, gas, nitrogen, highly flammable materials, chemicals, and oversized cargo that cannot fit in the tunnels. That supply chain is now crippled. One expert is projecting that it will take more than 2 years to rebuild the bridge. While trade is nimble and will reroute, over the long term, the bridge will need to be fundamentally engineered and rebuilt, and that will take years. It will be in excess of 2 years, according to Mead of Lloyd's List. There will be significant disruption in costs to this infrastructure project. In 1977, the bridge cost $60 million. Take in inflation, and the rapid pace of redesign and build will increase procurement premiums. This will be a very, very expensive project. I'd be shocked if it happens even that quickly. In any event, we're talking about a multifaceted crisis, a black swan event that is going to be affecting U.S. supply chains for the foreseeable future. At a press conference following the collapse of the bridge, Transportation Secretary Pete uh, Buttigieg, however you say that, openly admitted that we are looking at a major and protracted impact on supply chains. His words: there is no question this will be a major and protracted impact on supply chains. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said during a Tuesday afternoon press conference in Baltimore. I think this is the first time that you have to agree with someone in a high ranking office as an official like that. In the months ahead, U.S. supply chains will be hit with additional challenges. So if there are things that you're planning to purchase, you might want to do that now. Yeah, but there's one more thing to mention. Global supplies of cocoa just keep getting tighter and tighter. And on Tuesday, the price of cocoa jumped more than $10,000 per metric ton for the first time ever. So if you didn't know, yes, cocoa prices hit a record on Tuesday as supply constraints fuel these higher prices. Now, these are the futures contracts for May delivery, and they were up 3.9%. All right. This is absurd. This would be like Bitcoin hitting, we'll say, $600,000 today. All right. Talking about a 1,000% increase. Difficult weather conditions and disease have affected production in West Africa, which produces about 70% of the world's cocoa. The two largest producers, Ivory Coast and Ghana, have been hit by a combination of heavy rain, dry heat, and disease recently. In January, it was less than half that price. So if you love chocolate, stock up on it now while you can. Of course, the same thing could be said about countless other things. Do you remember the supply chain problems that were experienced a couple of years ago during the lockdowns? Well, what is eventually coming is going to absolutely dwarf that. Many are using the term Black Swan event to describe the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. All right. But in reality, the truth is that we're moving into a time when there will be one Black Swan event after another. So get prepared while there's still an opportunity to do so, because the months and years ahead of the United States of America are going to be extremely chaotic. To borrow from the Chinese proverb, America will be living in interesting times. But now, as far as the Black Swan language being used, this is coming directly from General Flynn. All right. He said that, quote, "Can we take the idea that this Baltimore bridge collapse was a terrorist attack off the table? And absolutely, we cannot do that." There's a direct quote from President Trump's former national security advisor and retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. And he told Alex Jones that in an online interview. Yeah, think about it. Think about it. See what I'm saying? Something to think about. Flynn called the container ship ramming the 1.6 mile long bridge at the Port of Baltimore a Black Swan event. He said that. A high-ranking official of that caliber is saying this. All right. Meanwhile, the White House and federal government agencies have been quick to declare this was not a terrorist attack. How can you be definitive when the investigation is not even finished? It just started. It's ongoing. Maritime job placement company Baltic Shipping shows the captain of the container ship is a Ukrainian. Yeah. Bloomberg Intelligence reports reinsurers could bear brunt of Baltimore bridge collapse claims. The bulk of claims from the March 26th Baltimore bridge collapse will likely fall on reinsurers. The ship has about $3 billion of reinsurance coverage over a $100 million retention. Chubb is reported to be the lead insurer on the bridge property cover, but might recover losses paid. We know it's still early, and this will be a complex loss. Whenever we have these kind of events, folks, there is always the mention of the insurance, because insurance premiums have been paid, and now disbursements will need to be made. And that, you better bet, is when they're going to cry poverty to the federal government, talking about the insurance company, and say, we need you to bail us out. Let the taxpayers pay for this so we don't have to. That's what it is. Yeah, folks, this is real. All right, this is real. Just something to think about as you're moving forward today. And if I were you, I would stay sober-minded in these days, in these times, because anything can go down at any moment without warning. All right. All right, so that's our show this morning. As you know, the system works if you work this system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. You never know who this may help or encourage or inform. And on that note, I'm out. Peace.